welcome back to Jim's Garage Toys. Today I'm going to be doing the very first oil change on my daughter's brand new 2022 Sienna. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that pulled in. She just crossed over 1,000 miles. Every new engine, I like to stay true and get all the crud that might be there from the engine breaking in and suspended in the oil and whatnot. Let's get that out. Let's get the filter out that's captured a bunch of stuff, and let's just start fresh. So I always do an oil change at 1,000 miles, and I've had excellent luck over the years with engine longevity and lack of any oil burning. So then we'll do it again at 5,000, and we'll do it every 5,000 miles after that. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. I'll go ahead and get this opened up, and we'll get started. All right, we have 1,084 miles. Alrighty, I've got the Sienna pulled in, put it up on ramps. To do a lot of oil changes, especially if it's just a quick oil change, I'll just use the ramps, quicker and easier. If I'm doing more elaborate stuff, transmission and some other things underneath the car, then I'll go ahead and use my lift, but this is just quick and easy. And so I'm going to get under here. There is a panel that has to be removed, I would imagine. So right there, some 10mm bolts. There we are. Put a little light on the subject there so you can see that panel that needs to come off. And yes, it looks like some 10mm bolts. So I'm going to go ahead and take those off real quick. So on this, there are 4 of them. There's one there. There's one right down here. There's one on the back right there. And there's one over here to the right on the driver's side. So let's go ahead and... okay, let's see what we got here. So there's our drain. Okay. So, there's the filter. All right, things to do this job here. So is either a 14mm open-ended wrench or a socket. We'll remove the drain plug, so get the oil draining. So you're gonna need some kind of tool to remove the oil filter. So I really like this one because this one fits these spin-on filters, and it also fits and works with the canister type oil filter that the Prius has in it. So I like that this one tool does them both, and it fits beautifully. Very good quality. This is the oil filter that comes on the Sienna, the N1. It did look like the F1 could also fit in there. So if anybody is interested, the F1 is about 1 inch longer, so a little bit more filtering capacity. Not that it's going to make a huge difference. Some of the other cars, this filter will sit inverted like this, and the length is absolutely no issue at all. So on this one, it sits horizontal. And one thing I like to do with anything that's horizontal or inverted is I like to put some oil in it beforehand so that it builds oil pressure quicker on an oil change. So get some oil built in there and then let the system get filled up. So, but I'll go ahead and install the N1 since that's what my daughter brought, and we've got a jug of 016 oil, as that's what this new Sienna takes. So anyway, we got our drain pan ready to go. So let's crack the drain plug and get it draining. Okay, so let's go ahead and get this broken. Now normally I use a 14 millimeter wrench to crack these, but I also know that sometimes from the factory these can be on. Okay, that was not bad. That's about what it should be. So I had my other one that would give me a little more leverage. Well, let's go ahead and get this open. There we go. There we go. You can tell the oil is fresh with 1,000 miles. But like I said, I really like to get that out of the engine. So you never know what extra metal and stuff like that from the break-in period is in there. So it's just, if you're going to own a car for a long time, and my daughter's planning on owning this for the next 20 plus years, then it just makes sense to do this at 1,000 miles and get that engine break-in oil out. So we'll let this drain, and then we'll pop the filter off here in a few. Okay, our oil has come to a slow drip, and always make sure that the washer here comes off, and in this case it did. So you can see that. No washer. Make sure you don't double stack washers. I do like to replace mine every time. So, and then there's our filter. So I'm always worried about these things being cranked on way too stiff and tight from the factory, but we'll see. I have this wrench that I can get some more torque on by extending it. So, oh, look at that. Not bad at all. Boy. And this is another thing I really like about this tool for this. I've never had it get stuck once on the filter, no matter if it's a spin-on or a cartridge. So I've positioned my drain pan so that it'll still catch the drips coming from there, but it'll also catch the oil coming out of the filter when I spin it here. So usually kind of like that, just so it can start to drain out some from there. And a little bit more. There we go. And then once it kind of stops like that, then the chances of it making a bigger mess are slim and none. And then I just try to spin it and rotate it to get into it. So, and there we go. So I always give around the face where it meets up. I always just give it a quick wipe to make sure there's nothing there. So now we're ready to spin the new filter. So here's from the other angle, so you can see the face. That's what I was talking. I just like to wipe that flat face where the gasket is going to go. So now, one of the nicest things about these Toyota ones, these OEM filters, is they come with a cellophane wrap because they're already pre-lubricated. So you don't have to worry about remembering to lubricate it with a little oil. And you can also feel good that the gasket always comes off with it because it's kind of pinched in there. And that's another reason you always want to look there. If you're using aftermarket filters, I have seen the gasket for the oil filter get caught on there and stay on there when you spin the filter off, and people not notice it, and then they put the new filter on. You got a double gasket and it leaks oil everywhere. So don't make that mistake. And that's why I personally prefer just to use OEM filters. Now, I tend to just tighten these as much as I can by hand. Never had one leak, and I can always get them off easily. There we go. That's as snug as it can be. One thing I want to point out is that this cover has a little tab right there. And the tab, you insert it, and that needs to go underneath, like so. And then line up the 4 holes just like that, and then like that, and then just go ahead and put in the 10mm bolts from that point. Okay, so 4 screws tightened up. The panel is back on underneath it, so we're all done underneath the car. So let's top it off with oil. Okay, the new Sienna Hybrid takes 4.8 quarts of oil with a filter change also, so it'll pretty much use the entire amount of that with just a little bit to spare. So I'll go ahead and get that poured in, and we'll check the level, which should be fine, and we'll be all done here. So since it's extremely difficult to pour that without making a mess with one hand, I'm not going to bore you with the tedious part of filling up the oil. I figure you guys can all handle that part yourself. So let me go ahead and dump that in there, and we'll go from there. Anyway, hopefully this will help you. Anybody out there that has a newer 2021 and newer Sienna Hybrid, super easy to do the oil change, and just follow what I showed you, and you can do your own oil changes and save yourselves a boatload of money. And I really can't strongly say enough anyway about doing your oil changes every 5,000 miles. All these new engines nowadays have low compression low tension oil rings, and it's to help get a little bit better mileage. The problem is if you do oil changes and extended ones like 10,000 miles or more, you have a lot greater chance of carbon building up into those oil rings over time, even using good oils, and having oil burning problems in the future. Just about every brand has had issues like that run and suggest longer oil changes. So I always follow a 5,000 mile oil change. So what I do on my own cars and my daughter's cars is I do, instead of 12 months or 10,000 miles, I do 12 months or 5,000 miles. Now, for a lot of these cars that are used as their main daily drivers, 5,000 miles may happen every 6 months or so, or sooner, and that's okay. This literally, I could do this oil changes in 15 minutes, and they're back on the road. And if you buy your own oil and filter, you can do it for 35 bucks or so, and you can't go wrong with that. So why pay somebody else to do it? So hopefully this helps you. Thanks for joining me. And I appreciate it if you hit the like button and subscribe. And until next time, we'll see you down the road. And here's where this one follows. My daughters are always happy. So anyway, thanks everybody. Appreciate it. You guys all have a great day, and we'll see you on the next one.